Hi, designer friends. Today I want to share with you the story of one of Flux students, Raluca, who made the transition from studying architecture to trying all sorts of different things before finding her own path as a designer, web designer who does illustration and building her own business and succeeding. Based in Romania, super fun and interesting and inspiring conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Let's do it. Hi, Raluca. What's up? Good to have you on the show.
Nice to be on the show. Really excited.
It's been a while since we chatted, and it's good to catch up.
Yep.
So we've known each other for a while. You took a bunch of our courses, and we worked together for a little bit. But I want to spend today hearing your full story: how do you become a designer, how you got into web design, and how you made the transition from starting out in one place and ending up in a completely different place, building your own business and being independent. So can you just give the audience a little background? Like, where are you from? How do you like?
Yeah. So I'm from Bucharest. I'm from Romania. That's Eastern Europe. And a city girl, basically. Being drawing since I was a kid, being really musical, being artistic, and loving computers like crazy. And my story actually starts with being an architect, or aiming to be an architect, and not succeeding, not finishing architecture school. By the end of architecture school, I realized I don't really like architecture that much, and it's not really my thing. So I lost any meaning of, direction, any sense of a direction, and just try to figure it out step by step, and then just went through all sorts of random jobs, random projects, freelancing. I just knew a bit of Photoshop, and then just got hired.
Photoshop? Did you pick up Photoshop for architecture originally?
Actually, no. I got into photography early on. That was my first hobby ever.
Oh,
I was
nice.
super into it. I carried my camera for 3 years every day, taking photos and learning how to edit my photos to not look like cheap camera shots and look like DSLR. So that became really useful later, eventually.
Nice. Okay, so you picked up camera. So you had photography as a hobby. You went to learn architecture. That wasn't the thing. So you mentioned you dropped up. You didn't even finish the school, or?
Oh no, I finished. I'm a finisher. Yes.
Did you have to? I don't know, in Israel for architecture, you have a really long internship and that kind of stuff afterwards. Do you have that in Romania as well, or?
Yeah, we have that, but then I didn't bother finding any work. Yeah. And I finished work when the recession was starting and nobody had a job.
Got it. So you couldn't even find so you went straight into freelancing or trying to make money by what? What did you do?
I was just sitting at home and at times crying because I had no idea what the hell I'm doing with my life. And had no job, no prospects, and I don't know, just random people, friends of friends needing, I don't know, business card or something, because I was used to be good with drawing and the Photoshop bit. So that's what got me started.
Doing business cards for friends?
Yes.
Could you actually make money doing this? Could you, or would you do them a favor, or were you actually making money doing it?
Initially a favor, then I started charging like really, really small, small sums.
And what was the next step after that?
After that, I asked my friends for referrals to jobs. So I got hired by friends in wherever they were working on. And
doing what?
Random graphic design jobs. I think my first job that was 8 months was doing animation in Flash. And I was asking myself, who is doing Flash animations in 2012? That's when everything started. I was like 26 at the time. Everyone was having jobs and getting ahead with their lives. Now it's just like, why am I doing Flash animations?
Was it in like an office or for an agency or freelancing?
It was a tech company, a huge tech company, and they needed for some educational project. So there I started learning how to draw vector stuff because I didn't know how to use the computer for that purpose. I was more of a traditional artist, drawing with pencils and crayons, colored pencils. And then I started getting into digital a bit. I started being good at animation and then got fired.
Why?
They had a mass layoff. And
Got it.
I was one of the last people.
Or 2012, you've mentioned.
2012, yes.
Yeah, got it.
And then I think the most fun job I had was, again, random job, was working in a CD factory. I was the one putting the graphics on the CDs.
Oh, wow.
Take it and save a really, really cool PDF. I used to know how to save a PDF. So that taught me how to work in print.
Got it.
Really
By the way, because you sounds like you fell into design quite randomly. Was at any point there was like, I want to be a designer when I grow up or something like this? Did you have a vision for what your life is going to look like?
Well, absolutely not, actually. My mom was the one that got me into architecture school because she knew how to see talent in children. She's a teacher. And I used to like drawing. I used to like computers a lot. I was super into computers, and I liked music. So I think all these things came out eventually in my life, but not as I expected them to. So design was super random.
Got it. Putting logos on CDs, that doesn't sound very exciting.
It wasn't very exciting, but since I got hired with my illustration portfolio, my personal illustrations, because I did not have a portfolio, I just showed them and they said, yeah, you're hired, because the bar was really low. But after a while, I started working on the brochures because I was the creative one in the office, and I was being tasked to do brochures and custom graphics and banners for websites and newsletter, stuff like that. And it just grew from there. I also was pretty determined. I was like super into learning and doing something new.
How did you learn these things? Because did you learn everything on your own at that point?
Well, the job was not really great, but I didn't have any prospects. I literally thought I should quit every day while I was there.
No, but I'm talking about the software. You've mentioned Photoshop. Now you've mentioned Illustrator, putting CDs. Like 2012, I don't think were there tutorials on YouTube? Like, how did you learn this stuff?
Not on YouTube, but on the web. Well, I would Google if I got into a pickle and I didn't know how to get out from a design problem or a software problem. I would just Google everything and not take any shortcuts. So I had this rule with one Google a day. I just created that rule at the time. And it served me really well because after 10 months of working there, I just knew a lot of Illustrator and a lot of graphic design. And I started reading books, and I really got into learning at that stage for the first time, like super into learning. Before
From
that,
books?
it was like
from books,
books and text tutorials.
What books did you read?
Thinking with Type was the one that opened my eyes.
It's a classic.
Yep, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so good. So now it sounds like you are a graphic designer / illustrator. Mm-hmm. At what point did you got into, and you do a little bit of Flash animation. At what point did you start doing web design, or how long did you work in this factory?
I worked for 10 months, but at the time I bought my first Android phone and I was like mind blown, and I would just press on buttons continuously, just looking at the little animation. And it was like amazing. And I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. That's when it clicked.
I have an idea for an app. Was that
awesome.
That was the phase, right?
No, I did not have an idea for an app, but I just wanted to get in designing them and doing big things and doing like important stuff, because animation, I felt it would be a bit superficial and shallow and just for my own hobby. But then I wanted to do big things, solve real problems. And luckily, I had a LinkedIn profile that I've been working on and off. And I just got a call at some point randomly. So it was super lucky.
What did it say, by the way?
My profile?
Yeah. What did it rate? Was it like designer? Definitely not a UI designer or something like, or
just a graphic designer.
Graphic designer. Got it. Yep. Okay.
A graphic designer that had illustrations in her portfolio.
Okay, got it. Okay. So randomly somebody approached you in LinkedIn. Were they from Romania or?
Yeah, they were an outsourcing company. and they wanted the graphic designer to work with their web designer, their main designer. And I was like super happy. We hit it off. I was like, yes, this is going to be great. And 1 month later, he left me with all the projects. I had no idea what I was doing. And the company owner said, will you help me with the iPad app design we're having currently? And I said, yeah, sure, of course. And then I Googled even more things all the time because I was now in a developer team. What's a design grid?
Yeah, design system.
What is HTML? Yeah. What is CSS? And I took HTML and CSS courses. I wanted to just get in there and find out everything there is to find out about being a web designer. And it was nice. I actually liked it, but it was really tough doing.
Wait, was this web design or an app design? Because they are completely different things.
Well, they were an outsourcing company, so they did web design as well for projects, but they had an internal app as well. So that was an iPad app.
So you did both?
I did everything.
Full stack designer, classic full
Pretty
stack.
Much.
Yeah, nice.
The one that didn't know what she was doing and didn't really have anyone to ask because all my friends were architects and I had no designer friends at all at the time.
I hear from a lot of people about the imposter syndrome, like, oh, I don't know, I'm not good enough and all of that. But from your story, it sounds like you were like, well, I can do it. Let me see if I can do that. Were you ever felt like too scared to take on something, or were you just like, I'm going to try and Google it until I figure it out?
I was in general scared to take on stuff I didn't really understand. Graphically, I think I just got better and better in time. So that was pretty easy for me by then. What I didn't know and just discovered at the time was Webflow. Webflow just appeared in my life and I was like, whoa, I finished my sister's website in a weekend. She had a simple 2-page website. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want to do. And then proceeded to not do Webflow websites for 5 years commercially because I had no university didn't exist back then. So I was just reliant on the forum and it's really unreliable to just solve problems in code if you get stuck. So that stopped me in my tracks. Yeah.
At this point, were you working full time for this company, the outsourcing company, or? Yep. So at what point did you set up on your own and started freelancing and something like this?
I had, after that job, I had another 2 jobs. And then I said, okay, this is it for me. This is not my thing. I just want to quit and find someone to work remote for separately because I was tired, burned out. I didn't like the rhythm. Architecture school taught me to work in chunks, which means just double down when you have a project and then relax. And this whole marathon thing with every day at work didn't make any sense to me. So I just wanted to go at it on my own. I didn't really think it through. I just asked my friends again, hey, do you guys know anyone who's hiring someone to work remotely? And I had one who said, yeah, sure, here you go. And then that happened. And that's how it was a transition period, but I started, I had already a portfolio by now, and I could show off some work to people, tried doing Upwork for a little while. And I was still doing design. I wasn't doing any illustrations by this time.
So you weren't doing illustrations, or you were doing?
No, I wasn't.
But let me ask you another question. I don't know what things are like in Romania, but is there are there a lot of opportunities? Does it not matter because you can work remotely and you worked with companies that are not based in Romania, or what's the situation like? Because I don't know if a lot of people think, Eastern Europe, maybe there's not enough opportunities, but you've done pretty well. So how do you think about that?
We have, I don't know how it was back then. That's like 5 or 6 years ago. But right now I find there's a lot of opportunities and we have pretty decent clients. And we have a really strong IT sector because it's really important. And in Bucharest, it's really well developed. So we have a lot of startups.
That's
and
good.
Companies. We started with outsourcing companies initially that worked for the States because we were cheap in the beginning, but now it kind of balanced itself out.
That's cool. That's great. Okay, so when you started freelancing, it was mostly design. You were not illustrating at all, or you were just doing it for fun? Like, how does that
I was just
develop?
doing it for fun because I was still doing my traditional illustrations for myself and having fun with that. But after another crisis, it's basically every big move started with, I can't do this anymore. I had a client that got me really, really tired. It was my main client. I was remotely with just one person, and it got me really tired, and I couldn't express myself properly. I don't know. I didn't really have this to speak up or solve the problems properly. So I was really frustrated, and I said, I quit design.
I don't want to be a designer anymore.
I'm
going back to architecture.
I'm going to do that thing I've been postponing since I was a kid, namely illustration. So I went all in, but this time I had a designer mindset. I did not just fall into it. I did it on purpose. I started reaching out to illustrator groups on Facebook, finding myself a community. I found some events to go to, like a school, like a workshop thing. I was lucky to find it in Romania, and then just going to any kind of event, doing tutorials, asking friends to give me materials to study, going to the studio and drawing.
Wait, you were doing all of that while you were still working with the client, or you just quit and they were like, I'm going full time into this illustration thing. I don't care if I don't make any money.
How was it? Oh, I quit and then found a part-time job, a part-time collaboration with someone else, with another company.
As a designer. After you swore off design.
Yeah. I went from full-time to part-time. So that was like a drastic reduction in focus.
So it was working part-time and part-time, just doing passion projects and not making any money, but developing skill.
Drawing a lot for fun. I got my first iPad. I was like super psyched. It was like fun all the way.
And how did that develop?
Well, I got into another junction, I guess. I was like, now what? Because, I can't do illustration and design separately because they're like two separate careers. How do I do this? And I hired an art coach that helped me put all the stuff together. She was a coach, but for illustrators, not necessarily designers. And I was like in between, but she did a really good job helping me. That's when I started my own company officially. And she told me, remove all the illustrations that have nothing to do with your website and your product that you're trying to sell. So she was really business oriented. And then I took the difficult decision of removing all the illustrations that were not
because before you had colorful. On your portfolio, you had design projects
Everything.
And random fun illustration projects. Got it. I think that's very
common.
I
didn't even have a website. I had a Behance portfolio with illustrations and some design. So it was like, not great. And I said, from all my skills, from all my experience in life, now I can do design, I can do illustrations, I can animate them, which is like, wow, perfect. And I said, this is it. Let's have this as a service. This is my service. And I just basically started illustrating every project I had. It doesn't matter if the project wasn't about illustration or didn't have illustration. I just added illustration to it, whatever it happened.
And clients
Everybody
loved it.
was fine with it. Yeah.
That's because illustrations are trendy now. You did it, I think, at a good time in history.
Yep, I was really lucky in many ways, I think. That was also one of those. Illustration got really popular all of a sudden, and I was like, yes, finally.
Nice.
And I just went with it.
So was that like your breakthrough? Oh, I understood. I finally understand what I need to do. And it's combining design with illustration, packaging them. And
not as a product yet. I did illustration, but for websites, and I did design for websites and app design, but they were separate skills. I didn't really have a project that used all of these. That came a bit later when I took your courses, basically.
What did that change for you?
This was the six-figure freelance course. And I started thinking about it as a product and who my target audience is. Because before I used to think about agencies and, I don't know, people who want to do or hire me for UX, as well as entrepreneurs. So then I ditched the agencies and UX and just tried to focus on the entrepreneurs because it provides the most fun for me, and I enjoy doing all of it, not just one of the skills.
Nice. And this is where you are today? This is the final iteration in the process so far?
Yeah, at the moment. Right now, my niche is tech startups that need a marketing website.
And how does that, what is the, I don't know if biggest, but most fun project that you've worked on right now?
Yeah, I have several that I worked on.
By the way, what is the biggest one in terms of budget? Like, what is the biggest project that you worked on?
Well, together with illustration is around 14,000 euros.
Nice. For a Romanian company or for?
No, US company.
American company. Got it. So website with the illustration and development in Webflow.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And animations. I'm doing also the animations. Yeah.
Nice.
The whole thing. I'm really happy.
Amazing. Fantastic. So if you think back, do you think there's anything that could have helped you get to this position earlier, or were all steps necessary, all crises and I can't take this anymore? Do you think that's part of the process, or you could have shortcut it somehow?
I could definitely have shortcutted, but I don't think I would have had the same conviction not having tried the other side of the coin. For example, I wouldn't have known if I want a job or not if I hadn't tried doing the job route first. I would have wondered what it would have been like to have a job or work in a team. I still kind of do, but I'm way more determined into making this work than otherwise. And all the skills, when I started, was having horizontal skills like this was not really a thing. You had to be one or the other. So it was quite challenging to bypass this mindset of just having to fit in a clean space, in a box. And now I don't feel like that anymore. And I'm like, yeah, go do everything. That's what I'm teaching my mentees as well, to just mix up and match, and they'll find a job for themselves.
That's my core belief, right? And by the way, to say the truth, your story is really not very different from mine. Just to give you a little context, I also had photography as a hobby. I got my first job in design, which was designing flash animation banners. And I got in with the portfolio of just my fun stuff, which was illustrations and photography. Did that, then did a bunch of boring graphic design, then started doing app designs, then learning Webflow and then eventually just seeing that all of these different things that I've learned along the way are actually a valuable service together. So it's actually, I really resonate with your story. I love it.
Nice. Awesome.
Cool. And now you've mentioned that you've concluded a big project or they're continuing work with you, rolling into another project.
Yeah. We are almost done with the work, but they have another project for me, the same company. So we're working on starting that one. I've been referred to another client by them. So I think they had a good opinion of my work. And I don't know, it just keeps on going. Networking and referrals is my way of doing things, apparently. No social media yet.
Good. Not everybody needs social media. I try to tell this to a lot of people who feel compelled to. I got to start posting stuff. Like, do you? I don't know.
No, not really.
It's not for everybody. Yeah. Awesome, Raluca. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's super inspiring, and I'm really proud of what you've achieved so far. So talented, but obviously hard work for many years. So thank you for sharing, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me. See you.
Bye.